Hello, my name is Barry and welcome to Barry's Kitchen. Today we're going to do cheese puffs. Cheese puffs are great for appetizers and they're also great for you to serve at a moment's notice. If you have some friends over and they just want a light snack or something like that, these are absolutely perfect for. The beautiful thing about them is I can go ahead and do a full recipe, eat maybe a third of them, and then put the rest of them in the freezer. And then when I want to have them, all I do is take them out, throw them in the oven, 375 for about 5 minutes, and they're ready to eat, and they're just as good as they were the first time. What we're going to need for this are pretty simple ingredients. We're going to need a cup and a half of flour. We're going to need a cup and a half of milk. We're going to need 1 stick of butter. We're going to need 5 eggs, some pepper. We're going to need a cup of cheddar cheese. Some people will use Swiss cheese. Some people will use some different kinds of cheese. You might want to play with that a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese in there, and then we're going to take some kosher salt, some of the large crystal salt, and kind of dribble it over it when it gets on the pan. The first step of the preparation process is to take that cup and a half of milk and put it in the pan, and then take that stick of butter and put it also in the pan, and heat it up until it boils. I'm going to go ahead and let it do that, and I'll be right back with you. We're back. The milk and the butter are boiling here. So we're going to now take our cup and a half of flour and put it in here. And I'm going to go ahead and use a whisk to incorporate it in here. And I'm going to leave it on low heat while I'm doing this. Some recipes have you take it off of the heat, but once I get it in here, I'll go ahead and take it off the heat to go ahead and stir it. So there's my cup and a half of flour, and I'm going to work that in here. And what I'm going to end up with is kind of a pasty mixture. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer it over to my bowl as soon as I do this to go ahead and incorporate in the eggs. So I've got almost all of it in here, and I'm just going to pull it over to the front burner here just because it's a little bit easier to work with. There we go. Okay, and we're going to keep it on this heat because right now it's kind of a pasty mixture. We want to get a little bit of that liquid out of there so it kind of balls up. And that should take about 3 to 5 minutes of doing that. All right, and it's going to be a pasty mixture. The next step in the process is we're going to go ahead and incorporate in the eggs. Alright, so I've got all of this in here. I'm going to drop it over to my bowl, turn the burner off, and you'll see what we've got here. It's kind of just a doughy ball. Okay? Kind of a doughy ball mixture here. And now the challenge is to incorporate in these eggs. The eggs are a little bit harder to incorporate because they're a little bit slick when you're putting them in here. So you probably want to do this one at a time and incorporate them in. I use a whisk for that because it's just easier for me to break up the eggs when I go ahead and do that. And do them one at a time. Why? Because if I put in all 5 eggs at the same time, it makes it almost impossible for you to incorporate them in. When I do it one at a time, it gets the egg in there, smooths out the mixture a little bit, and makes the next egg even easier to put in. Alright? The one thing about the whisk is you want to make sure, like I've got it here, it's all clogged up here. So you want to make sure that you get all of it out of here, on a regular basis, or use a little bit wider whisk so it doesn't get caught up in here as much. So let me put in the rest of these eggs and then we'll show you the next step of the process. Alright, I've gone ahead and added in all of my eggs. You can see here that this mixture is nice and smooth, nice yellow glow to it. Not too sticky, but it's a nice pasty kind of feel to it. So the next step in this process is go ahead and add the cheese. Well, actually we'll add a little bit of pepper. About a teaspoon of pepper is what they call for. If you like a little bit more pepper, throw in a little bit more pepper. It's always good. It's all good. So I'm going to put in a little bit, about a teaspoon of pepper here. And then I've got about a cup of cheddar Again, you can use the various different kinds of cheese. You can use Swiss cheese, you can use Gorgonzola cheese, you can use, whatever you're looking for. I'm going to not use my whisk anymore because I've got a little bit more chunkier ingredients in here and I don't want them to get caught up in the whisk. So I'm going to switch over either to a spatula or to a wooden spoon. So I incorporate the cheese in here, and I've got about 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And I'm going to go ahead and add that in as well. Preheat my oven up to about 375 degrees. I'm going to take this mixture, mix it in well here, and I'm going to take a cookie sheet, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it with some Pam or put some of that silicone sheet on there. Drop these in about, I would say a large tablespoon type of form onto the cookie sheet so it's nice and rounded. And drop each one of them on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my kosher salt. And I know I've got some here somewhere. Here we go. And I'm going to put a little bit of that into a bowl. And this is the more chunkier salt. You could use sea salt, you could use kosher salt, but I'm going to take a couple of grains of that and just drop it on top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and set 12 of these on a cookie sheet. And again, I'm going to put some Pam or some silicone sheeting on here. Throw it in the oven for about 30 minutes and it'll come out golden brown, and I'll show you what it looks like in the finished product right here after 30 minutes. Welcome back. It's been about 20 to 30 minutes. I checked on these at about 20 minutes or so. They were starting to look good, so after about 25 minutes I pulled them out. You'll notice before I said to go ahead and put some Pam. I used a silicone sheet to put these on. It's just easier. These things just slide right around on here, and it's easier to take them off. As you can see, they're nice and golden brown on top, and they've got very puffy, very light feel to them. And I think when they cool down a bit, they'll kind of flatten among themselves. But oh my gosh, these are really good. The salt on the top gives it a little bit of a ting when you bite into it, but it's real. It's got a nice cheese taste, and it's real light and easy to eat. I'm not sure how much of this is going to make itself into the freezer for the next time around, but I'm certainly going to enjoy them while I can. Thank you for joining us today on Barry's Kitchen, and we'll see you next time. Oh, I need some more wine. Oh, these are good. These are real good.